I'm going to share with you 3 of the most expensive, exclusive, and sought after cities to live in San Mateo County. Let's dive in and take a look at what you can get between $4 million and $20 million and why these areas are the epitome of luxury living. I'm Raziel Ungar and I'm a realtor here in San Mateo County, and I love working with people like you who are thinking about making a move within the area. So let's start with the big daddy, which is Atherton. Atherton is the most expensive zip code in the entire country. You think about Beverly Hills or Manhattan, Atherton ranks at the very top of that list. It is in the heart of Silicon Valley. It's very exclusive. You have large lots that are about an acre. There's so much to love about living here in Atherton. So how expensive is Atherton? Last year, the median home price was $7.8 million. However, when you look at what the average price last year was, it was over $9.5 million. This actually was the highest average sales price for any zip code in the entire country, even more so than Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills was $8.2 million. And of course, Malibu, which had an average sales price of $9 million. So at $9.5 million, Atherton is the king of the most expensive real estate in the country. All right, so who lives in Atherton? It's a lot of normal people, but there's a lot of famous people. So let me give you a quick idea of some celebrities who you might know who live in Atherton. Steph Curry, Jerry Rice, who played for the San Francisco 49ers, Willie Mays, who played for the San Francisco Giants, Charles Schwab, the financial services company, even Shirley Temple lived here, and of course many tech billionaires like Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, and even Elizabeth Holmes, who is the disgraced former CEO of Theranos, who's now serving a prison sentence. Oh, also Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook. She lives in Atherton too. The average income in Atherton, no surprise, is over $450,000. However, we're just looking at averages, and that's including people who have been here for a really long time. But if you're a tech billionaire building one of these homes, you're gonna be making obviously quite a bit more than that. So what's very interesting from a zoning perspective, all the homes are on at least 1 acre of land. So you get these huge estates. You have ADUs that are the size of homes in other towns. You just get a lot of open space. You have tons of trees that have been here for a really long time. You actually don't have sidewalks in Atherton too, because there's so little density. There's plenty of space for parking. If you just kind of look into any of these homes here, you see many people have 3, 4, 5 cars and motor courts, and there's just a lot more space for people to spread out. For a town of 5 square miles, there's about 7,500 people who live in Atherton. If you compare at the opposite end of the spectrum, Atherton to Manhattan, for example, in Manhattan, you'd have density of about 72,000 people per square mile. And in Atherton, it's about 1,500 people. If you really value privacy and relaxation and big luxurious homes, Atherton is a great spot. I want to give you a quick idea of what your dollar can get you in Atherton. So here's a home that sold in September for $17 million. This was on a pancake flat, 1.5 acre lot in a really good location. Now this home had 6 bedrooms, it had a huge pool, had some massive redwood trees. And now here's another home. It was on a 1.25 acre lot. This one sold for $7 million. This was a 5-bedroom home, about 3,300 square feet. And you can tell from the pictures that this home, while it was totally nice, at this price point, I just think it's likely someone's gonna do a pretty significant project here. You might not be surprised to hear this, but Atherton is 100% residential. There is no downtown area. So if you're looking for shops and restaurants and bakeries and things like that, you're gonna wanna go to downtown Menlo Park or downtown Palo Alto, which are both within a 5 to 10 minute drive of kind of wherever you are in Atherton. For recreation, there's 2 places worth mentioning. Holbrook Palmer Park is a pretty sweet 22-acre park that has tennis courts, a playground, field, gardens, and a walking path. There's also the Menlo Circus Club, which is a super exclusive private equestrian club. Every August, the club hosts the Menlo Charity Horse Show in partnership with the Vista Center for the Blind, and it's a fun opportunity to see some beautiful horses and riding. I've actually been a few times with my family, and it's a pretty neat experience. So let's talk about what are the schools like in Atherton. So there's public schools here, and there's private schools. And some families will opt for some pretty prestigious local private schools. So there's Menlo School, Castanea School, the German American School of Palo Alto, and Philip Brooks School. Now, of course, being in Atherton, we are very close to Stanford University. If you're looking for more about what it's like to live in San Mateo County, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I work with nice people every day like you who are thinking about making a move within or to San Mateo County. The next city on our list for most expensive cities to live in is Portola Valley. It's very similar to Atherton. It's also very expensive. However, it's a very different feel. It has a much more of a rural vibe, whereas Atherton, you have acre lots and it's more of a grid-like streets. And even though there's no sidewalks here in Portola Valley either, a lot of the streets here are a little bit windier. You don't necessarily have all the streetlights out there. You could have some killer views, a little bit more rolling hills. And it's just a really great place if you want to be out in nature, close to some hiking trails. You see some properties where you can have equestrian estates. So now let's talk about some of the real estate in Portola Valley to give you an idea on what it costs to live here. So in 2023, the median home price in Portola Valley was $3.7 million. This is a little bit more than nearby Menlo Park, which had a median price last year of about $3 million. Obviously, we're way lower in price than nearby Atherton, but hey, it's still pretty expensive when you're looking pretty close to $4 million for the median home price here. Obviously, when you look at average prices, those are gonna be higher because you're gonna see some outlier homes of very massive estates in the $5 to $10 million price range. But that just kind of gives you an idea. Median means half the homes are selling below that number and half the homes are selling above that number. It was hard because I just wanted to pick 3 cities for this list, but Menlo Park and Portola Valley are very similar. So when you look at price per square foot in the last year, Menlo Park price per square foot was actually slightly higher than Portola Valley. In Menlo Park last year, the average price per square foot was $1,505, and in Portola Valley, it was $1,415, so very, very similar. So Portola Valley, like I mentioned, has a ton of nature. So if you're really into biking, hiking, going for walks, just being out amongst the trees, Portola Valley is absolutely gonna check that box. Other towns in the peninsula that are kind of similar to Portola Valley, maybe Woodside a little bit, maybe parts of Hillsboro, maybe parts of Emerald Hills and Redwood City, but Portola Valley is pretty unique for what it is. First of all, there's Portola Redwood State Park, which is one of my favorite places to go camping. Portola Redwood State Park is located pretty close by. There's tons of redwood trees, hiking trails, and then there's also Windy Hill Open Space Preserve, and that's located in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It has great views of the Bay Area, including the Bay, Silicon Valley, and the coastline. There's also Jasper Ridge Preserve, and that's affiliated with Stanford University, and it's pretty close to Portola Valley, and it's known for its diverse ecosystems, including woodlands, grasslands, and freshwater habitats. And then there's also Russian Ridge Open Space Preserve, which is in the nearby hills, has pretty sweeping views of the Santa Cruz Mountains and also the San Francisco Bay. Lastly, there's Parissima Creek Redwoods Open Space Preserve, which is a little bit farther south, but it's known for its redwood forest, creeks, and diverse plant and animal life, and it's a pretty peaceful retreat for those who are just looking for a natural escape. All right, and last but not least, downtown Portola Valley. This is super cute. Downtown Portola Valley is basically the town center. There's some really good restaurants there. An excellent one is Parkside Grill. There's a library. There's a lot of local businesses. There's a pretty cool community center, as well as a whole set of tennis courts and also an equestrian center, which is super popular, especially given that people are into horses around here. In terms of schools, the schools are really highly rated. So if you have kids who are in elementary school or middle school, it's important to know that many people choose Portola Valley because of its really strong public schools. Portola Valley is also super close to getting on the freeway 280 and heading up to San Francisco or heading into the heart of Silicon Valley. You're only anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes to get most places in Silicon Valley, and then you're about a 30 to 40 minute ride with no traffic on 280 heading north. I'll also mention that Portola Valley has a really strong community feel. So people are super involved, people really get to know each other, and if you kind of value that close-knit community feel, Portola Valley is a great place to raise a family or to grow old in. It's just at the top of a lot of people's lists. Now I want to give you an idea of 3 different homes at 3 different higher price points of what you can get in Portola Valley. So the first I want to show you was actually on almost 4 acres. This was a 6,400 square foot home, 4 bedrooms. This one sold for $25 million, which is a massive price, but even more massive was the price per square foot at $3,800 a square foot. The next home I want to show you is a 6-bedroom home, and this was on 2 acres, about 5,300 square feet, and this was a custom home built in 2019. It had views of Windy Hill. It was pretty much one level. It had a swimming pool, bocce ball courts, really cool vegetable garden, and this one sold for a little over $11 million. And the third home that I'll share with you that sold last year was a 6-bedroom home, and this one was 5,500 square feet, sold for a more reasonable $1,700 a square foot. This was on just an acre lot in the Westridge neighborhood, and this was one level. It had a pool and a sport court, pretty cool Spanish style architecture, and this one sold for $9.2 million. And the third town that I'm going to share with you today on the most expensive cities in San Mateo County is Hillsboro. The median home price in Hillsboro last year in 2023 was $5,250,000. But in Hillsboro, you kind of see a variety of price points. You can kind of get entry-level homes that are going to be starting in the low $3 million range that go all the way up to $10 million plus. The market kind of gets a little bit thinner, 10 million plus, whereas in Atherton, you can easily spend $20 or $30 million, and I shouldn't say easily, but there are properties that are that expensive. And in Hillsboro, Hillsboro, we just typically see the market more max out in the $10 to $15 million price range, but you can still see that every property here is going to be on about a half-acre lot. There's a few exceptions for some that are on more like 12 to 15,000 foot lots, but most are going to be about 20,000 square feet or more. Now, in terms of the topography in Hillsboro, if you're in the flatter areas or the hillier areas, that's kind of the main decision point that you're going to want to consider. If you're in the flatter areas, you're typically going to find higher price per square foot, whereas if you're in the hillier areas, you're not necessarily going to spend a lot less money. You might just be getting a little bit lower price per square foot or a little bit bigger house perhaps, because that's just kind of the lot configuration that we see in Hillsboro. Hillsboro, like Atherton, is 100% residential, so that means there's no downtown, there's no shopping area, there's no restaurant area, but that's okay. Hillsboro just has single-family homes everywhere. There's a couple thousand homes in Hillsboro. The population is a little bit higher than in Atherton. So if you live in Hillsboro and you're wondering where do you go shopping, the main area would be downtown Burlingame and then downtown San Mateo. In downtown Burlingame, you have really amazing places to eat. I actually grew up in Burlingame, and downtown Burlingame is phenomenal. We have the Apple Store, we have some favorite spots like Copenhagen Bakery and Backhouse. So that's very close to Hillsboro. And then in downtown San Mateo, if you live in the southern part of Hillsboro, that's kind of the other place that you'd go to. But both of these are within a 2 to 10 minute drive from wherever you live. Additionally, Hillsboro doesn't even have a library system. Hillsboro contributes a third of the budget for the Burlingame Public Library and a third of the budget for the San Mateo Public Library. One reason that people move to Hillsboro is because of its excellent public school system. Of course, there's some really good private schools like Nueva and Crystal Springs Uplands. However, the public schools, there's 3 of them. There's West, North, and South. There is no East. And these public schools are fantastic. From a per capita funding perspective, the Hillsboro public schools get about $15,000 per student per year, which contrasts to nearby Burlingame, which is still very expensive, and they receive about $9,000 per year. Both towns have education foundations, which do a lot of fundraising to help the schools be even better and retain top talent and teachers. However, this is a really sought after place that people move to because of the schools in particular. In terms of the outdoors amenities that we have here in Hillsboro, there is the Burlingame Country Club. That is a private golf club that's actually in Hillsboro. It's been around for a while, and it's a big part of the lower Hillsboro scene. Now let's talk about the real estate in Hillsboro from a topography perspective. So right now we're in the hillier areas, but this is a perfectly flat block. So it kind of depends if you want more of a view or if you want to be in an area where it feels a little bit more trick-or-treatable. Hillsboro, I wouldn't say, just kind of like Atherton and Portola Valley, these aren't really towns that are very trick-or-treatable just due to the lot size in all 3 towns being half acre to an acre or more. If you're wanting to trick or treat, you're going to want to go into some of the nearby towns like Burlingame, San Mateo, San Carlos, Redwood City. Those are going to be a little bit more traditional streets with grids and homes on like 5, 6, 7,000 square foot lots where things are just a little bit closer together. But if you're looking at Hillsboro, Atherton, Portola Valley, these are areas that just offer a ton of privacy, larger lots, a lot more wooded. And that's kind of the vibe that people really like about moving here. I've had many people tell me that they really like the small town feel that some of the other towns had, and that they could know their neighbors, but they really valued buying more space and having a much larger home. And you just can't get these large homes that you see in Hillsboro and Atherton and Portola Valley on the smaller lots of the other towns. It's not like a perfect thing, because I think people would love to have a larger home and be able to know their neighbors, but you kind of have to choose one if this is something that's attractive to you. One thing about the location in Hillsboro, as I was mentioning, we are in the North Peninsula. So unlike Atherton and Portola Valley, which are really close to Silicon Valley, in Hillsboro, we're super close to San Francisco, so you can very easily pop up to the city in 25 to 35 minutes if you work in FIDI in the financial district. And if you work in the Valley, you're only 20 to 40 minutes to head a little bit more south. So because we're so centrally located, you just have very close access also to San Francisco Airport, which is literally 1 freeway exit away from here. And from SFO, there's tons of nonstop destinations. So regardless of where you live in San Mateo County, SFO is going to be your go-to spot. But when you're in Hillsboro, you are just super close, and you're looking at like a $20 to $30 Uber ride, just to give you an idea of how convenient it is. When I think about the outdoors in Hillsboro, there's so many different ways that you can engage. Personally, I really like going on the bay trails, and you have Coyote Point, and you can go for a really beautiful bike ride or walk. And then we're also very close to Sawyer Camp Trail at Crystal Springs Reservoir, which is a popular place for people who live in Hillsboro to go for a walk. I like going biking a lot, so I'd say maybe 2 out of 4 weekends per month, I'll do a bike ride through Hillsboro, and I kind of go down Crystal Springs Road and then go all the way up to Crystal Springs Reservoir. And it's just very relaxing because there's so much greenery here, there's tons of nature, and you don't really feel like you're as close to everything else as you really are when you're in Hillsboro. If you'd like to learn more about San Mateo County, check out this video here. And if you'd like, please consider subscribing to my videos and checking out more content that I like to release on a weekly basis. I'll see you on the next video.